Explore the unofficial world of DPRK-inspired apparel at NK News Shop. Dive into a captivating collection of North Korea-themed t-shirts, hoodies and more at the NK News Shop. From the popular Daedonggang beer t-shirts to the adventurous Air Koryo designs, each piece offers a unique glimpse into aspects of the DPRK you'll be familiar with. Featuring retro travel-inspired prints of Pyongyang's landmarks and brands, our apparel is 100% handcrafted in the USA. Support independent journalism with every purchase. Explore our range today at shop.nknews.org. That's shop.nknews.org. Hello listeners and welcome to the NK News podcast. This is the Tuesday episode and we are recording the episode on Monday, the 5th of May, 2025. Almost said 1925. It's Buddha's birthday and it's also Children's Day. And as you can tell by that lovely laugh on the other microphone there, I'm joined in the podcast studio by Managing Editor Alannah Hill. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacco. And also Cinco de Mayo for all our Mexican listeners.
For Cinco de Mayo, for those who celebrate, yes.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on.
Triple whammy today.
Triple whammy. But I'm surprised and impressed in admiration by how many of our fellows are here at the NK News studio today working hard.
NK News never stops.
The news never stops coming from North Korea. And what shall we talk about today?
Well, I thought that we could start off by chatting about the office gossip, what we're chatting about at the moment. So I'm sure lots of listeners know that on this Friday coming up is Victory Day in Russia. We've been keeping our eye out about the prospects of possibly Kim Jong Un taking a trip to Moscow to maybe attend this parade, or at the very least North Korean troops marching on the Red Square in participation.
Right, for those listeners who may not be aware, Victory Day commemorates the victory that the Russians had over the Nazis in 1945 at the end of World War II.
Right.
So they have a big military parade each year,
yes,
looking back at that, but presumably they fold in all sorts of victories, so that's why they would have the North Koreans in this one as well.
Yes, and this year marks the 80th anniversary of that year. So, it's ending in a 0, which is always a big deal, a 0 or a 5.
80th year of Korea's liberation too, just a few months from now.
Yeah, so we've been keeping our eye out for that. Lots of back and forth, lots of betting pools going in the office. Is he going to show up? Is he not?
What's the good money saying right now?
So this morning, Colin Zwerko, one of my colleagues, pointed out that from what he's been seeing in terms of train travel, there's been nothing to note of recently, and basically it'd be too late now for him to take the train, which he's obviously famed for travelling on.
Right, Kim Jong Un, I don't recall the last time he took a plane to anywhere outside North Korea.
Right. Now, two other options that Anton, my other colleague, pointed out were, number one, Xi Jinping is going.
So that's confirmed?
Yes, that's correct. So I think he's going to be there for a few days, actually. So potentially a Chinese plane. Maybe would Kim go on a Chinese plane with Xi? Maybe.
Xi.
The other option, another thing that Anton pointed out, he's fantastic for monitoring flight routes. And noticed a couple of months ago there was some planes flying between Pyongyang and Moscow that we weren't 100% sure what they were doing. So could be test flights, maybe.
Right.
Don't know. But yeah, definitely something to look out for. Anton also today on Russian media spotted some rehearsals that were happening, and there was Chinese troops taking part, Mongolians, Vietnamese, Myanmar, and I believe Egyptians were the other ones.
Goodness.
And he said that there'll be another rehearsal coming up on the 7th. So we'll keep our beady eyes peeled for maybe some North Korean troops.
Right.
The other thing to take into account here is, we've had this official recognition from Russia and North Korea about their troops participating in the Ukrainian war. So does that up the ante potentially? I mean, I would say yes. Having said that now, I believe it was last week, the NIS, which is South Korea's intelligence agency, has assessed that Kim Jong Un probably won't attend, but that there could be another high-ranking official. They suggested, Che
Son-hee?
Che Ryong-hae.
Oh, Che Ryong-hae.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's very very top level. He's one of those guys, I don't think he's ever served in the military, but he does wear a military uniform and he does have a military title.
Yeah,
he's not someone who's come up through the ranks, so to speak.
Right, but he's called Kim Jong Un's right-hand man.
Yes.
I think he's the parliamentary chief is his current title. So his name has been thrown out there that potentially he might...
Maybe he no longer wears a military uniform. He has in the past worn a military uniform to some events, though. So,
yeah.
And he would be the kind of guy you could see up on a presidium, overlooking a parade.
Yeah. So we'll find out on Friday. I was going to say fingers crossed. Well, yeah, kind of fingers crossed.
Well, have you got any money riding on this?
I'm an optimist, and in terms of the news cycle, of course, I'd love him to show up. So yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll keep our eyes out. I'd say, regardless of whether Kim Jong Un goes, we'll more than likely see North Korean troops there. Potentially some kind of high-level delegation, as we've been seeing these delegations going back and forth for
and maybe not just
months.
Troops, but maybe some, what do you call a self-propelled big gun, or a missile launcher or something like that. That was
another conversation we had this morning, that potentially could we see North Korean-made weapons, with a Russian flag slapped on, being paraded through the Red Square. So we're all anticipating and excited to see what comes of Friday. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. That's Russia's Victory Day coming up. Still no sign of a ceasefire or anything like that in the war on Ukraine, in which North Koreans are still fighting. So that's also interesting to see how that develops in the coming weeks and months. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Next story.
Yeah, so I know that you and Jung-min last week covered the unveiling of this massive, giant, huge new warship.
Yes.
And then just that weekend
North
after.
Korea's biggest.
Yeah, just that weekend after, we had a missile test from the warship.
Yeah.
So busy weekend in North Korea and here. They tested supersonic cruise missiles, strategic cruise missiles, and then anti-aircraft missiles.
So it's 3 different kinds of tests, all from this new 5,000-ton destroyer, whose name I've forgotten. I think it was the Hyun-chun.
Chun something.
Or Chun-hyun.
Yeah. Chun-hyun.
I'm a bit dyslexic.
That's
sometimes
ringing a bell.
I reverse them. I think it's the Chun-hyun, yeah.
Yeah, so these tests took place over the course of 2 days. Kim Jong Un was there. His daughter was there.
Right.
So quite a big deal. And Colin, who spoke to some analysts, they talked about how these new supersonic cruise missiles have this uncommon kind of dolphin-nosed design that actually was developed by other countries. So this is the first time we're seeing it used by North Korea. But they suggested that they could have been tested in the past in North Korea. We just haven't seen it before.
So this is the first time it's been seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's also the first time I recall in a while that the daughter has been out there, the respected child, or whatever her title
No,
is.
I think she may have been at a Hwasong Street opening. I think that, if I can recall correctly, that might have been the last time. But yeah, she was definitely kind of front and centre at this missile test.
The more often she comes out, the more it just becomes normalised that she is Kim's right-hand girl and maybe in line for something in the future.
Yeah, and I believe it was maybe at the Hwasong District opening. She appeared with a lot of other children of these high-level officials. And so some analysts were kind of questioning, is this to kind of present her as the leader of the next generation? Which I thought was quite an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
So we had this new missile test over the weekend from this warship. And, as we've heard many times before from North Korea, Kim Jong Un and the leadership is always threatening these flights around the Korean peninsula, over North Korean airspace on the west coast and the east coast. And so he always is threatening that this is interfering into the North Korean airspace. That he'll
breach of sovereignty.
Breach of sovereignty, that he'll shoot these planes down. And this is probably the first example of a case where he's shown us he can shoot these planes down. He does have the technology now.
He has ship-to-air missiles, and they can move around.
Yeah, exactly. So upping the ante in that area a little bit for sure.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, wow, thank you. What's our next one?
Well, I have to bring this up, I suppose. It's what's happening in South Korea. Bit of a mess, but I wanted to briefly touch on it.
Just under a month from the elections, the presidential elections on the 3rd of June.
Now, I know that Jung-min also spoke about Lee Jae-myung last weekend, what his potential goals would be in terms of North Korea. Today, he was speaking about how he would reinstate the comprehensive military agreement.
Yeah.
He was up in the border regions, and he posted on social media mainly about the border regions. And he was talking about trash balloons, leaflet balloons, the loudspeakers, and going forward, what he tried to do to try and tamper down tensions in that area. Then we have the former Prime Minister, Han Duck-soo. He declared his candidacy for the presidency. Again, he kind of pledged to pursue dialogue with North Korea while strengthening deterrence against nuclear threats. Would North Korea even be open to that? We don't know. So yeah, there's lots of change happening. It's all happening very, very quickly.
And I saw that the third acting president, the Minister of Education, I don't recall his name, but I just saw the headline that one of the first things that he said after becoming acting president was something about the threat from the north. So
yes, yeah. I've also stopped learning their names because it's just impeachment after impeachment after impeachment.
It's a bit embarrassing.
But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I felt the headline of the week from Brian last week was ROK education chief warns of North Korean threats after taking charge of military.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of highlights the state that we're in.
We are in a very strange state of affairs.
Yeah, exactly.
And will be for another month. Yeah, so a lot of things are in play here, and we don't even know whether Lee Jae-myung's legal problems are over, or if they're still hanging over his head like a cloud.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
We could be in a very, very different spot 4 weeks from now.
It's changing every day, every moment. It's very fast-paced.
I think I should cancel my vacation plans and just stick around and see what happens here in South Korea.
It's exciting times.
Because it is never boring, You never want to be away when something big happens.
No, exactly.
Have you got a last thing to leave us with?
Yeah, just lastly, I wanted to finish a fun little story. Anton, our fantastic Russia correspondent who covers a lot of Russia-related stories.
Yes.
And he always has his eye on kind of interesting data points coming out of Russia. And so one of those things that he found was an export declaration coming from North Korea, and they're hoping to export some beer to Russia. So, this beer that's made in Rason. So it's not the famous Pyongyang one.
It's not the Daedonggang beer from Pyongyang,
it's the Tumangang beer.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so
that's the one on the border between Russia and North Korea, I believe.
So he found this application between this brewery in Rason and also a company in Vladivostok for Tumen River 11 pale pasteurized filtered beer.
Gee.
So, yeah, just, again, more cooperation going on between the two sides. He actually spoke to Rowan Beard, who I know has been on the podcast not that long ago.
From Young Pioneer Tours.
Exactly, who was singing praises for this specific beer.
Yes, I think he mentioned having been
either
at a tap house or at the microbrewery when he was in Rason a couple of months ago,
He said it's excellent. He said it's the best in North Korea, much better than the Pyongyang made one.
Wow.
And he said that the head of the brewery told him that the reason why it's so good is because the quality of the water. And so apparently they sent these water samples to China, and China said it was incredibly high quality water. So...
Wow, okay.
Yeah. The people in Vladivostok can look forward to some high quality North Korean beer.
The name again, number 11?
Tuman River 11 pale pasteurized filtered beer.
It's a long one.
They might shorten it for the label.
Maybe for the label.
Tuman 11.
Yes. Now, those who are watching on social media will see that you're wearing a NADA merchandise shirt here from the DPRK.
And as Shreyas pointed out, this is actually our company merch. We need to get it updated. It's no longer NADA, it's now NATA.
N-A-T-A?
N-A-T-A, yeah.
I didn't know they'd changed.
Yeah, I think so. That's what he told me.
Oh, well, I mean, NADA, it looks fun.
The back of it's cool as well. Yeah, check it out on our shop.
Yep, go to nknews.org and have a look at our shop for all of our different types of merchandise that are available there. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Alannah. We hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you for having me. Looking to stay informed about South Korea's fast-evolving political, business and cultural landscape? Join us on Korea Pro, the go-to resource for in-depth analysis expertly curated by top-tier professionals. And now you can pick the membership level that best suits your needs, thanks to our new subscription packages. Starting at just $199 annually, you can access daily analysis and our weekly podcast. Or try our premium membership package, which offers additional perks such as executive briefings, monthly reports and forecasts, networking receptions and event opportunities, as well as much, much more. To find the best fit for you, just head to signup.koreapro.org and become a member today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our podcast episode for today. Our thanks go to Brian Betts and Alannah Hill for facilitating this episode, And to our post-recording producer genius, Gabby Magnuson, who cuts out all the extraneous noises, awkward silences, bodily functions, and fixes the audio levels. Thank you, and listen again next time.